in front. Talks to Caulfield. Fire. Scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Well, there we go, boys and girls. How was that overtime? A little exciting international hockey for everybody. Team Canada defeats Team Sweden. It was a 4-3 final in overtime. And we're live. We're doing a special edition of Habs After Dark here on YouTube on Recliner Sports. My name is Devin. As always, this is our second show of the evening. We did our first episode of Habs Therapy Day earlier tonight, and we will do a show here tonight. And depending on what kind of turnout we get, we will stick around for a while or we'll take off. Depends. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over. Watch us on YouTube. The show is on YouTube. We're not going to be answering any questions over on TikTok. We will be answering answering questions here on YouTube. It's okay, Asim. It doesn't really bother me. That's why I don't do TikTok anymore. But anyways, here we are, guys. Again, Team Canada, 4-3 final, overtime against Team Sweden. And as, I don't know, you might expect, Sidney Crosby was the star of the game, playing with one hand. Again, what did the coach say? Gamers and winners. That's what we have on this team, gamers and winners. And I don't think there's a bigger gamer and or winner than Sidney Crosby currently in the NHL. And he showed it tonight, right? He assisted on three of the four Canadian goals, assisted on the overtime goal, assisted on the first goal of the game on the power play. And at age 37 was the best player on the ice for either team. Again, just another special performance by Sidney Crosby that a lot of people will remember for a very long time. So what did you guys think of the game? What are your thoughts? Anything stand out to you? Are we excited about this tournament yet? Right? Remember how everyone was been kind of making fun of it and sort of playing it down, that it's a manufactured, it's a money grab, it's this, it's that, it's the other thing, it's not a real best on best, it's it's all these things, and it looked pretty good tonight. I think people got excited for it, and it was a good, exciting game. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a blowout after the first period, but the Swedes came back, made it a game, made it exciting, showed their pride in that jersey, and they managed to get the game tied up and take it to overtime. So Asim is here, Claude is here, and Jeevan's here. Hello, Jeevan. Do I think Aiden Hill will come back, or do I think they'll stick with Binnington? I think they'll probably stick with Binnington after that game. I don't really know. I don't know. Maybe they have it planned out ahead of time to rotate one against Sweden and one against Finland and then go with the hot hand. I really don't know. But, I mean, Binnington didn't do anything to lose the job tonight. I don't think he was spectacular, but he certainly made the big saves when it counted. And that's all you really need from your goaltender, right? You need a guy who will make those saves when it counts. So, yeah, if you're here watching the show, guys, and you're enjoying the content, give us the thumbs up. I just saw one thumbs up come in. Give us a like. If you're over on TikTok, you can tap the screen and you can come on over here to YouTube and join the conversation over here. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, whether you're watching live or on replay. We're trying to grow our community here. We're around 290, I think, subscribers so far, and we'd like to try and get at least to 500. I'm wondering whether there's going to be a bunch of people around after watching that game or whether it's going to be a little bit late for people on a school night. But anyways, we got 9 people in here right now. Tyrone states, yes, it was good to see that. Probably a pretty good feeling for Sidney Crosby. As you probably know, he grew up as a Montreal Canadiens fan. So for him to get that kind of ovation in Montreal is probably pretty good feeling for him, I would say. And yeah, again, the fans in Montreal always put on a pretty good show, regardless. So I think it was pretty nice to see. Good game, good crowd. I think that now that the games are here, I think people are going to, realize how much fun and enjoyable this kind of hockey is. And I mean, just seeing seeing that first power play with like Crosby, McKinnon, and McDavid on the same line with Makar on the blue line, like it was just, I mean, you don't often get to see that kind of talent on the ice at the same time. Like, when was the last time we would have seen talent like that? For me, I'm older than probably a lot of you guys, so for me, it goes back to the days of seeing, Gretzky and Lemieux and those guys, like late 80s, early 90s, like those guys on the ice together, Mike Bossy, and it was a great game. It was fun to watch. Yeah, you can't not respect the man, right? As Nova Scotians, we're happy to contribute to Canadian hockey, right? I think that we could. Sidney Crosby was the best player on the ice, and both Nathan McKinnon and Brad Marchand chipped in with goals tonight. I think that Nova Scotia more than did its part to contribute to that victory and to contribute to the success of Team Canada generally when it comes to international hockey. So it was fun to watch. Yeah. No thoughts, guys? Any thoughts? What do we think about that game? I thought it was going to be a bit of a toss-up here whether we were going to get a good crowd out tonight or not. It looks like it might be a bit of a slow crowd here tonight. I see Tyrone, I see Claude, I see Asim, I see Jeevan. Jeevan came in and said hello, but now he's not saying anything. Are you still here, Jeevan? So anyways, I guess so they get 2 points with the OT win. Yeah, I think you get 3 points if you win in regulation. No, is that how it works? 3 points if you win in regulation, 2 if you win in overtime, and 1 if you lose in overtime, and 0 if you lose in regulation. I think that's how it works. Look at the shoes on this guy. Buddy on the Sportsnet postgame show's got these. I don't even know what kind of shoes those are. So, anyways, guys, let's have a quick peek at the scoreboard. I did do up a scoreboard and an A team for tonight. Well, you caught the best part of the game, Jeevan. I mean, the whole game was fun, but that overtime was spectacular. So here's our scoreboard, guys. As I said, 4-3 Canada over Sweden. First period was pretty well dominated by Canada. Goals by McKinnon and Marchand. Yeah, it was pretty dominant first period. The shots were, I think it was like 15 minutes into the game before Sweden even got their first shot on goal. I think the shots for the period were something like 8-2 or maybe 9-2, something like that. And it looked like Canada was just going to run away with it. Pardon me. It looked like Canada was going to run away and make it a bit of a blowout. However, Sweden came around 9 minutes into the third period. Jonas Brodin scored on a bit of a seeing eye shot. He just threw the puck at the net, and it happened to go in over Binnington's shoulder and brought Sweden back into the game. The Canadians did increase their lead back to 2 on a goal by Mark Stone late in that second period. Crosby and Stone combining for a nice goal. However, the third period was kind of Sweden. I don't know if they would say they dominated, but certainly they carried the play in the third period. Adrian Kempe and Joel Eriksson Ek with goals. One early at 1:54 and the other midway through the period. They tied the game at 3, and Canada just wasn't able. They put some pressure on, but Canada just wasn't able to bring around the game-winning goal in the final moments or the last 4 or 5 minutes of that third period. The game went to overtime, and there was a lot of back and forth. The overtime was really, really exciting. Nathan McKinnon had 3 really good opportunities to score. He wasn't able to convert, and then finally Mitch Marner scored on another assist from Sidney Crosby at 6:06 of overtime to give the Canadians the win over Sweden. The shots were 28-25. The Corsi was 57-67. The Fenwick was 42-41 in favor of Sweden, and the high danger scoring chances were 11-5 in favor of Canada. And the expected goals were 2.5 to 1.9. So I guess what that tells me is that Sweden kind of carried the play and had a little bit more possession, but Canada had more shots and more scoring opportunities. which kind of fits the eye test a little bit. I think that was kind of the way it went. Canada dominated the first period. The second period was pretty even, and I think that Sweden probably had a little bit more of the run of play in that third period. But yeah, they do manage to win it in overtime, which is all that counts. So McKinnon was really good tonight. Yes, Jeevan, I agree. I don't like the Tampa line. Cooper needs to stop thinking this is Tampa. I don't think they had a great game. It wasn't really a Tampa line. There was Hagel, Cirelli, and Konechny were together. But again, yeah, there were 2 Tampa players on that line. I don't really have any issue with those guys being on the team. I don't think they had a great night tonight. However, they're both very capable hockey players, and in the roles that they've been given, they're both very good, right? Hagel and Cirelli are 2 very good defensive players with a certain offensive upside. So I really don't have any problem with those guys being on the team. Point was not on a line with those 3 guys, and Braden Point is a really good hockey player, and he played quite well tonight. So I don't think they played very much together, those 3 guys together. Let's have a look and see. Let's have a look and see the shift chart. They probably, I'm not saying they didn't play any shifts together, but I don't know that they played any. Canada forward lines. The data is not available. You're going to tell me that the data is not available already on Natural Stat Trick? Shift report. That's not going to tell me. Unfortunately, Natural Stat Trick's line data is not available. So there's no way for me to check how often those 3 guys played together. Unfortunately, and unless Money Puck is going to tell me, they might. Money Puck going to tell me? Money Puck. It looks like they didn't track those stats. It looks like they didn't track the line stats for this game. So I guess we'll never know. So they may have played together. I think for the most part, it was Konechny, Cirelli, and Hagel were on the ice together. That may have changed at some point for a shift or 2, but for the most part, that was the matchup. Pettersson was finishing checks and seemed engaged. He didn't put the lights out, but he wasn't along for the ride. Yeah. Pettersson is always invisible. He's been like that since February. Guys like Nylander and Pettersson were invisible. Really disappointing game from Sweden's Stars tonight. I am going to lean more towards Pettersson being invisible tonight than I don't think he really showed too much. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say that all of the Sweden Stars were disappointing tonight. I thought Hedman played well. Lucas Raymond played well. Joel Eriksson Ek played well. I think there were a number of players who played. I mean, let's be honest, they're all stars, right? To be on this team, they're all stars. So I guess for Pettersson, I found him to be pretty quiet tonight. I didn't really notice him that much, but I wouldn't say that all of the stars stood out. Not playing like a player that gets paid $11.6 million. I agree with that, Jeevan. Again, I'm not going to cast aspersions on the guy. I'm not going to cast aspersions on the guy, because I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know what the situation is for him and any of that kind of stuff. So again, I'm not going to call him out or rip on him or anything like that. But again, his performance on the ice for whatever reason doesn't appear to be, at the level that you might expect from a player of his, certainly his income, but of his, reputation as well. So. He didn't look dangerous with the puck at all, is what I'm saying. Look at this reporter just trying to get right on the camera here. Get right in, get some camera time. Okay. I agree. He didn't look that dangerous with the puck. Yeah. So if you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over and join us on YouTube. Recliner Sports 4 is the channel. The instructions are on the screen here behind me. If you want to be a part of the show, if you have questions, want to get into the commentary about the game, then come on over and join us over here. If you are over here already, guys, tap the subscribe button down below if you're not subscribed yet. Hit the notification bell and throw a couple thumbs up our way. See if we can get more than 4 thumbs up, guys. I think we're going to be on for a little bit of a shorter show than normal tonight. It's getting a little bit late, and the turnout is a little bit soft here so far. We only got about 6 people in here and only 4 likes so far. So perhaps we'll end it a little bit earlier than we normally would tonight. We'll just do a quick show. So, guys, let's have a quick look at the A team tonight. The A team, of course, for those of you who aren't regulars on our Habs After Dark show, the A team is the 4 players that I feel like showed up and gave it their all tonight and played the best on the team. It's kind of our version of the 3 stars. In this case, it's 4. The 4 members of the great A team from the famous 1980s television show. So this is our version of that. Rather than do a 3 stars or a star of the game or whatever, we do the A team. Those of you who are here regular, you know that. Those of you who aren't might not. So let's see who the stars or the A team for tonight's game. So the A team for tonight, guys, is Sidney Crosby, Devon Toews, Connor McDavid, and Mitch Marner. So I think that's pretty straightforward. I think again, it was a good game tonight. So I think there were a few players who could have been put on that list. I think there was a lot of different options there. But again, I think Sidney Crosby was a no-brainer. I thought Devon Toews had a really good game both ways. He had some nice scoring opportunities, but he was also his normal, very solid self defensively. Connor McDavid, again, was dangerous all night. I think he had probably 4 or 5 high-danger scoring chances. I can actually check that if you want me to. Connor McDavid had... Well, that's not right. Connor McDavid had... Let's see. Connor McDavid tonight had just the 3 high-danger scoring chances. So, anyways, that's, no other player on the Canadian team. Actually, that's without power plays. That was... Come on, Devin. Sort your shit out here. Yeah. I find it weird that Nathan MacKinnon is listed as having 0 high danger scoring chances tonight. So again, I do at times question advanced stats. I don't think they're cracked up to be. I do find it odd that Nathan MacKinnon didn't have any high danger scoring chances tonight, because he certainly looked like he had a few tonight. To me, Connor McDavid again, he was very dangerous out there all night, and Mitch Marner. Probably not the best game. I don't think he played a fantastic game tonight, but he was the hero in overtime. And you got to recognize that, and you've got to give him some recognition for that. And he scored a nice goal when it counted, and that's what big players do, right? Big players score when it matters. His all-around game was not really, again, like I said, it wasn't the best performance by him or his line mates necessarily. I think they struggled a little bit for the most part for the game. But again, the Mitch Marner fans are going to be out in full force talking about how awesome he is, which is great, because he was. He had a big goal tonight, and he certainly came through for Team Canada tonight. I think I'd replace Marner with McKinnon, but other than that, I agree. Again, I think you got to recognize a guy who scores an overtime winner in that kind of situation. Marner's numbers actually weren't terrible. He had some decent numbers with respect to the advanced stats. He 53% expected goals percentage. He's 10-4 scoring chances, 5-2 high danger scoring chances. So not a terrible game by Mitch Marner. I just felt like they struggled a little bit through the first couple periods. But again, when you score a big goal like that, you're going to get, you deserve some recognition, and I'm happy to give it to him. It was a nice play, a nice goal at a really, really big time. It's credible that McDavid looks like a man amongst boys even at this level. Yeah, I mean his skating certainly separates him, as does McKinnon's. I wouldn't go as far as to say that he looks like a man amongst boys. I mean, he didn't. Obviously he looks good and he skates well and he can create offense. At a rate probably more so than anybody else. But I mean, it's not like he went out and scored 3 or 4 goals tonight. I think that good hockey players, will defend him. So again, I'm not sure I would go as far as to say that he was a man amongst boys, but he certainly was very good, and you can tell he's a special hockey player. Crosby and Marchand is the 2 oldest players in the tournament, and they combined for 4 points. They did. Sidney Crosby MVP. Oh man, Intertap. RDP says Crosby MVP. Yes, Intertap. I didn't know that I was going to do it. Coach's show must have just let out, did it? Everyone's coming over. I thought I'd put in a shift here, Intertap, and see if I could get some people out, see if I could get some conversation going. That's about it. So, it was a good game. Again, Crosby, Taves, McDavid, and Marner are your A team for tonight. Anybody agree with that? Disagree with that? What are your thoughts? If you agree with me, let me know. I think it's a pretty straightforward list. I think there's obviously a few other players that probably, could be on the list, and you wouldn't have much of an argument against it. I think that McKinnon obviously could be on that list. I think that you could put Mark Stone might be able to to fit on that list. I thought he had a pretty good game. Josh Morrissey, I thought, had a pretty good game, and Seth Jarvis played pretty well. So we'll see. Hope Theodore's okay. I can't remember what I heard, whether they said he was out for the tournament or whether he was out just for the game. But yeah, that's tough, and they can't bring in a replacement for him either. So. The Nova Scotians did play well. They did. We had a goal from Marchand. We had a goal from McKinnon. And, of course, we had the 3 assists from Sidney Crosby. So I think Nova Scotia did more than their part to contribute to Team Canada's success tonight. So we'll see. I mean, you can replace them, Asim. There's I think who is their 7th defenseman? They brought a 7th defenseman. So that 7th defenseman can dress, but now they won't have that extra defenseman if Theodore can't go. Somebody will know who the 7th defenseman is. Entertap will certainly know who it is. I'm just drawing a blank right now. Is it... I don't know who the 7th defenseman is. Who is the 7th defenseman? Anyways, somebody will tell me. Anyways, guys, I don't know whether you've got any commentary, anything you want to talk about the game, whether you have any thoughts. Okay, Sanheim. So, yeah. It'd be interesting if he gets in the game. Young guy, newcomer to the Team Canada scene, so it should be interesting to see how he does. But, yeah. Anybody have any thoughts about the game, the A-team? Like I said, I thought it was the Canadiens' strength, I think, in this tournament is, in their experience and their, John Cooper said, gamers and winners, right? Gamers and winners. That's what they were looking for when they made their team, and that's what they brought in. They brought in, Don Sweeney said they were looking for guys who wear their hearts on their sleeves. And, that's kind of the Canadian way. And I thought that showed tonight, right? I thought their experience showed. I think they got 15 Stanley Cup winners on the team. And I think the next closest team has like 3 or 4. So it's, it was a big part of this team. And I thought tonight, you needed that, right? Because there was some adversity there tonight, and they were able to overcome it. And they started out strong, and their best players were their veterans, right? And so I think that the Canadian forward group is probably not quite as good talent-wise and pure skill-wise as the American group, but their experience and their maturity and their leadership certainly is, and that showed tonight. Obviously, this forward group is a lot more experienced and older than the American one. But I think, skill-wise, I think I would give the nod to, Team USA as far as their forward group goes. But again, there's a lot to be said for guys who've been there before and guys who've, struggled that way. Goaltending is the only question mark. Again, I'm not buying the goaltending issue, to be honest with you. I mean, I get it. I'm not suggesting for a minute that Canada's goaltending is on par with the other countries. It certainly is not. But again, the impact of that I don't think is nearly as great as what a lot of people are making it out to be. To me, if the team plays really, really well in front of the goaltender, all of these goaltenders are capable of winning games at this level. You could put Hellebuck in goal, and if he doesn't have good defense in front of him, that's not going to be significantly better than if Binnington's in goal and has stellar defense in front of him. So I think that, goaltending obviously is important, but at the same time, I think the team that plays in front of those goaltenders is even more important and will be a bigger factor than the goaltenders themselves. Yes, PLW was a very entertaining and fun game to watch. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's rare for Canada to struggle with goaltending. Yeah, I mean, Canada historically has always had, strong goaltending, and I'm not sure what it is exactly that is creating this dead spot historically for Canadian goaltending, but it is what it is. But again, things can change pretty quickly too. We'll see. It should be interesting to see. I'm not sure that the goaltending will be a major factor in this tournament. Like, I don't see that being, I think that if the Canadian defense plays the way they're capable of playing in front of Binnington or Hill or even Montembeault, if that comes to that, then I think that I don't think that there'll be any. It's not like it. I don't think goaltending will lose any games for Canada, even against the Americans. That team would even more treatful with Scheifele and Suzuki instead of Cirelli. I disagree, PLW. Again, I know that everybody seems to think that you need to bring in the best scorers, but again, I think there's a place for role players on the team. Do I think the team would be okay with Scheifele and Suzuki? Yeah, I think they would. But again, I'm not going to criticize anybody for constructing a roster that puts players in roles that they're very good at, right? Cirelli is a good player. He's a good defender, and he has offensive upside. Hagel is a good defender, and he has good offensive upside. Konechny, I might question Konechny a little bit, but again, Konechny's a good hockey player too, and there's a lot of good things to his game. So again, would I have picked Konechny? Probably not. But again, I'm not going to criticize somebody for picking him because it's not like he's an outlandish pick. He certainly has the skills to be there. They did struggle tonight, obviously. They didn't have a great game. They certainly, had a hard time doing what they were brought to this team to do. But that's going to happen from time to time, right? So for me, could Scheifele be on the team? Could Suzuki be on the team? Absolutely. I mean, I could name a dozen guys who, could be on this team as well. But again, I think that roster building is a difficult thing to do. And I also think that roster building is more than just bringing the best producers or, offensive talent or whatever you want to call it. I think there's more to it than that. I knew they were going to be tough against Sweden. Their defense really buckled down and blocked shots and had active sticks all night. Yes, Sweden's defensive core is probably the strongest in the tournament. Sweden also shows a ton of pride, right? Sweden shows a ton of pride when it comes to that jersey. they they don't typically just bend the knee. They don't typically just give up. I knew they weren't going to give up after that first period. So it's yeah. I mean, it certainly looked like it might be a blowout after that first period, but I certainly didn't think that Sweden would quit. They don't quit when they wear that jersey. Sweden and Finland both show a lot of pride. Well, I mean, all of these teams show pride when they wear their national emblem. So it is what it is. If you're over on TikTok, guys, come on over and join us on YouTube. The channel is Recliner Sports 4. We are live over here. If you want to join the conversation, the comment section is open, and you are free to come on over here. Unfortunately, we will not be responding to any of the questions over on TikTok. We're only on TikTok to let you guys know that the show is live and to invite you to come on over and join us, as Crazy Shady just did. Yes, they were all -2. Yes, PLW. But again, players have bad games, right? Players, again, you're not. I don't draw conclusions on one game. I don't draw conclusions based on such a short sample size. To me, the fact that Cirelli and Hagel and Konechny were -2 each tonight isn't enough for me to suggest that those guys shouldn't have been selected. Because on the bigger picture and their entire career and their entire, what's the word I'm looking for, the entirety of their record, I have no issue with those guys being there. They certainly have the abilities and the talents to be on that team. And any sort of suggestion that they don't belong there or that they were bad picks, I think is a bit revisionist. And it's kind of, again, you're basing it on a very, very short sample size, right? Which is, not atypical of hockey fans, right? We like to overreact to, I think, overreactions to short sample sizes based on emotion is something that happens with hockey fans. I'm flying to Montreal on Friday from Nova Scotia to see the game on Saturday. Very nice. Rocking your McKinnon jersey. Okay. Really nice. Love it. I have my Sid jersey on. I will be wearing, I don't know what I'll be wearing. I've got a couple of Canada jerseys. I've got a Carey Price Canada jersey. I don't have a Nathan McKinnon Canada jersey. However, I do have a Nathan McKinnon Team North America jersey. I have, what else do I have for Team Canada jerseys? I have a couple other ones as well. Seeing McDavid and McKinnon together is wild. Yeah, that game on Saturday night is going to be fun to watch. I'm not going to say I'm jealous, but I think that it'll be a good time. Montreal on a Saturday night ain't too bad either. Crazy Shady. I want a Team Europe and a Team North America back maybe in 2 years. That would be great for hockey. Yeah, I really enjoyed the Team North America the last time they used it. I'm not sure that there's an appetite to do that again. Like that whole under 23 concept I thought was, and that was one of the most fun teams I've ever watched play hockey. McKinnon, I mean, it was just the players that were on that team were fantastic. Was Scheifele's snub merited, or was he overlooked because of the market he plays in? Well, I don't know that Scheifele was snubbed. Like, to me, if you're saying a snub, to me it indicates that you've been intentionally left off the lineup, for some kind of reason. To me, Scheifele just didn't make the cut, right? And again, roster building isn't just about bringing your best offensive players. Sometimes you need guys who will play certain roles, and there's only so many spots in a lineup. And so, to call that a snub, I don't think is accurate. Again, it depends on, I guess, your definition of the word snub. But for me, a snub is like, if you've been left off because, you misbehaved or didn't act right, the last time you played for Team Canada, or there's some sort of rationale or reason that they've left you off the lineup. But, the reason for Scheifele not being there is just, he didn't make the cut. I get it. I get the argument in favor of him that he's, a really good offensive player and he's a good hockey player. But, the talent pool is deep for Canada. And there's, 2 or 3 guys, 3 or 4 guys, 4 or 5 guys, 5 or 6 guys, 6 or 7 guys, 7 or 8 guys, 8 or 9 guys, 9 or 10 guys, 10 or 11 guys, 10 or 12 guys, 12 or 13 guys, 13 or 14 guys, 15 or 16 guys, 17 or 18 guys, 19 or 20 or 21 or 22 or 23 or 24 or 25 or 26 or 27 or 28 or 29 or 30 or 31 or 32 or 33 or 34 or 35 or 36 or 37 or 38 or 39 or 40 or 41 or 42 or 43 or 44 or 45 or 46 or 47 or 48 or 49 or 50 or 51 or 52 or 53 or 54 or 55 or 56 or 57 or 58 or 59 or 60 or 61 or 62 or 63 or 64 or 65 or 66 or 67 or 68 or 69 or 70 or 71 or 72 or 73 or 74 or 75 or 76 or 77 or 78 or you know, there's guys who are not going to make that team. There's guys who are, going to have the credentials to say they should be on that team, but aren't. And it happens every time with with Team Canada, right? And to me, I have no issue with them, using role players, in their bottom six. I have no problem with them having guys who may not be the most offensively talented or the best offensive producers, but they can bring other aspects to the game, in a bottom six role. Montreal is getting pounded with 40 centimeters of snow, so I hope the flight isn't delayed. Yes, that would not be very good. I watched North America versus Sweden game live. That overtime and Max scored was crazy. Yes, and a lot of young kids loved the team North America. I enjoyed watching that team very much. They were very, very exciting. They were fun to watch. For whatever reason, there doesn't seem to be a lot of desire from the powers that be in hockey to redo that. I'm not sure why. Whether I don't know why. I don't know why there wouldn't be. But again, I think a Team Europe concept, and a Team North America concept, I think would be kind of interesting to do as well. So, yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. I think it would be interesting. I mean, I'm not so the team. Yeah, the Team North America idea makes sense to me. I think it would be interesting. Again, I guess it. Do you then, like, what happens to the guys who are under 23 and are good enough to make the older team, your Team Canada or your Team USA, or whatever? Like, I don't know, but it would be interesting. Like, what would a Team North America right now would have, like Connor Bedard. It would have Macklin Celebrini. It would have trying to think of some of the Americans. I guess Cole Caulfield would be out. He's over 23 now. I mean, maybe Lane Hudson would be there. Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of Brock Faber. I think would be there. Logan Cooley would be there. Yeah, it'd be a fun team to watch. That's for sure. It would be a fun team to watch. We'll definitely see how deep Canada's talent pool when they face the Americans. Well, again, just because you have a deep talent pool, I mean, the Americans have a deep talent pool too, Rob. So again, if they lose to the United States, I don't think that would be grounds for you to roll in and start complaining about the fact that Mark Scheifele didn't make the team, right? If they lose to the United States, it's not because Mark Scheifele's not on the team, right? It's not because Nick Suzuki's not on the team. It's not because this guy's not on the team or that guy's not on the team, right? Again, building a roster is more than just going out and getting the best offensive players. It's just not the way it works. And I know that everybody wants to see that, and every time Team Canada doesn't do well, everybody bitches and moans and whines about it like they did after the World Juniors. But the reality is that, you are building a roster. You're not building an all-star team, right? You're not building and yes, am I saying that Mark Scheifele wouldn't be good on this team? No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm sure that he would do just fine on this team, but the talent pool is deep. There's a lot of players available to make this team, and there's a lot of guys who, could be on the team that aren't. And so, again, if you're envisioning or sort of salivating and rubbing your hands together at the idea of coming in and sort of gloating about the fact that, Mark Scheifele's not on the team if they lose to Team USA, then I think I'm not suggesting you're doing that or you're planning to do that, but I know there are people out there that do that. And again, if Team Canada loses to Team USA, it will have absolutely nothing to do with the fact that Mark Scheifele's not on the team. So the hits were great, and the role players are needed because of the hits. Well, the role players are needed, to play roles, right? And again, it depends on what your philosophy is for building your team. Like some teams may want to take a more offensive approach and bring in more, scoring and more offensive talent and sort of abandon the defense. And sometimes you may have no choice but to do that because of the talent pool that's presented to you, right? The talent pool, that the Americans have, perhaps limits them a little bit in their ability to go and take those defensive guys, although they've done it with Trocheck and guys like that. But it depends on what your philosophy is and what kind of team you're trying to build, right? And again, I've mentioned it a few times now, but John Cooper, we've got winners and we've got what's the word he used? Oh my God, I've said it like 4 times already tonight. Winners and stand by. Gamers and winners. Gamers and winners is what he said. And that's, I think that's a big part of Team Canada, right? And it's not just defensive players that they've, put a focus on. It's guys with experience. It's guys with leadership abilities. It's guys with, 15 Stanley Cup winners on Team Canada. I think the American team has like 3. So, again, that may work and that may not work, right? It may not succeed. But again, I like the fact that a team builds their roster with a plan in mind as opposed to just sort of, grabbing a bunch of guys with a certain skill set and putting them all on the same team. I like the idea of bringing in, guys who play different roles and play even in a short tournament like this. I think there's value in that. So. Again, I don't consider Mark Scheifele not being on this team to be a snub. So, yeah. I didn't enjoy the Team North America. I prefer country setup instead, but this... You didn't enjoy the setup or you didn't enjoy the team? Because the team, I can't imagine anybody who liked hockey not enjoying Team North America. Because that was as exciting as hockey gets, Center Tap, to me anyway. I thought that was perhaps the most exciting hockey team I've ever watched. I get it. I get that there's, why, I get why people wouldn't want to do it. And that the national setup, country by country is obviously, but again, if you're playing in a tournament where you're limited in the number of teams that you can have, or you're limited in the time frame, such as this tournament, right? Sometimes that might be something worth considering. Like, again, you couldn't have a tournament like this mid-season where, you had Canada, USA, Finland, Sweden, Russia, Czech, Slovakia, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, whatever, right? You wouldn't be able to do it. The Olympics do it, but, the Olympics do it and, you kind of have to take like a month off from the season or 3 weeks off from the season in order to make it happen. And they're not going to do that. So if you're looking at and again, this tournament was also predicated on the fact that all of the players had to be from the NHL, right? This is not an IIHF event; it's an NHL event. So all of the players had to be from the NHL. So even Finland, we're seeing Finland had to sort of, I'm not going to say scrape the bottom of the barrel, because I think that would be unfair to the players. But again, the options and the talent pool that they had to pick from was kind of limited because they couldn't go. Sweden and Finland couldn't go to the SHL or to the European leagues to bring players over. So certainly Czech and Slovakia wouldn't be able to put together. Czech might be able to. Slovakia definitely wouldn't be able to. But even Czech would have a hard time putting together a full roster of players who are in the NHL. Let's see what that would look like. Actually, is Coach still alive or is he done? He must be done. Hockey reference. Leader. I don't want to do all that. I can do it on the NHL. NHL.com. Stats. Sorry, guys. You love your Team North America jersey, one of the best. Okay. Okay. Which player do you have on your Team North America jersey? Asim? Skaters. And we need to go to our filters. We need to go to our nationalities. And we need to go to Czechia. And we will apply filters. There are 21 Czechs with games played in the NHL this year. Nice. Same with me, Asim. Yeah, so there's 21 Czechs who have played at least one game in the NHL this season. So they would have a hard time putting a team together. The Slovaks, I think, would have even more trouble, and the Germans and the Swiss obviously would as well. So that's the only reason why I think it might make sense to do like a Team Europe kind of thing. Slovakia. Yeah, there's only 7 Slovakians playing in the NHL right now. And who is the leading scorer amongst the Slovak players in the National Hockey League? Can anybody say it? Can anybody say it with me? Who is the top highest scoring Slovak player in the NHL right now? I was a bit surprised that decision making by some players was not great tonight. Maybe they just need time to gel. Yeah. I mean, it's. Yeah. Give me some examples. Oh, you're talking about like decision making in the defensive zone. Are you talking about like in the offensive zone? Like I'm not. Kopitar is not Slovak. He's Slovenian. The leading Slovak is Juraj Slavkovsky with 30 points. Followed by Martin Pospisil with 18 points. Then Eric Chernak with 15 points. And then Thomas Tatar with 13 points. And Martin Fehervari with also 13 points. And then Simon Nemets with just 1 point in 11 games in the NHL. And Samuel Hanzek, 0 points. Samuel Hanzek with 0 points in 5 games. So, there you have it. So Slovakia would have a hard time putting a team together. One of the questions we asked in Habs Therapy today, guys, Habs Therapy Day today, for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch it, the replay is available. You can go check it out. It's a 1-hour show, little over an hour, and we talk about a bunch of different things. One of the things we talked about is the players currently in the Montreal Canadiens organization who have a chance of someday representing their country in a best-on-best tournament. And we were able to come up with, I believe, 9 players who have a legitimate chance of someday representing their country in a best-on-best tournament. I think there's probably 3 or 4 of them that are almost locks to someday do it. And then there's another 4 or 5 who probably have a good chance of doing it. I should call it the reclining sofa. I like Habs Therapy Day. Is that not a good name? I like that name. The Recliner Sports. Right there. Oops, right there. So for the Team USA, who on the Montreal Canadiens organization has a chance of someday playing for Team USA in a best-on-best international competition? Let's see. Come on, let's get some names out here, guys. I know you're listening. There's 11 of you in here. Let's hear some comments. And if you're over on TikTok, come on over here to YouTube. Let's get the participation side of this show going a little bit. Let's see what you got, guys. Let's see what you got.
Some comments. And if you're
Caulfield, yes. Lane Hudson, yes. And I had a third guy who I thought, I think Caulfield and Hudson, I think Caulfield's a pretty safe bet. I think Hudson is a good bet. And then there's another guy who, is a bit of a long shot by virtue of the fact that he still has a lot of ground to cover before he gets there, but he also has a chance to someday be where the stars and stripes for the U.S. in an international tournament. Anybody? I know you know this, Entertap. Who do you think? I mean, again, you might not agree with me that he has a chance, and I mean, it's obviously pretty premature to say this about this guy, but I think that Jacob Fowler would have a chance to someday potentially play for Team USA. Mind you, we know how strong goaltending is for the U.S. Struble? I don't know about Struble. What do you mean there's only 5 U.S. active players? I'm not talking about active players. I'm talking about players within the Canadiens organization. So for me, I have Hudson, Caulfield, and potentially Jacob Fowler. And for Team Canada, who do we have for Team Canada that we believe has a chance to someday represent Canada, wear the Maple Leaf in best-on-best international competition? I'll have a drink of water while you guys think about it. I mean, one guy's pretty obvious. Well, it's a long ways off the scene, but it could happen. Yeah, I think Suzuki is the obvious choice. And then there's another guy who I think has a chance to do it someday. What's up, Pens42? Welcome. Welcome to the show. I think you're new here. I've never seen you here before, so welcome. And if you enjoy the content, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. That goes for everybody. If you're not yet subscribed, we are trying to grow our community, and we can only do that if you subscribe. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you are watching live, there's a button right down there. And if you're watching in a replay, the button is also right down there. So hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you like the content, give us a thumbs up. Yeah, I have Suzuki and Gouli. Obviously, Suzuki's the more obvious choice, but I think Gouli has the opportunity someday to do that. Yes. I think Mayu would be a long shot Entertap to do it. I did kind of have him on the list. Do I see Montembeault getting a game between the pipes, or is solely between Binnington and Hill? I don't think that Montembeault is going to get into any games. I mean, unless there's an injury situation. I don't see. I mean, again, but there's just the 4 games. I don't see that happening. It could, but I don't envision it. But we'll see. Yeah, I have Suzuki and Mayu, Suzuki and Gouli, and Mayu being a long shot. I guess I mean, you might say Hage, but again, I don't know that Hage is yet, at that level. I don't, yes, he's playing in the NCAA just like Jacob Fowler, but again, I don't know that he's in that same conversation. And then after that, we've got, for Russia, Ivan Demidov, I think probably has a good chance of making it someday. I think it's a pretty safe bet that Juraj Slafkovsky, Juraj Slafkovsky has already represented Slovakia internationally, not in a best-on-best tournament per se. He's been to the Olympics and he's been to the World Championships. But I think it's a pretty safe bet that if Slovakia participates in a best-on-best international tournament, that Juraj Slafkovsky will be there. I think it's also a pretty safe bet that if Austria ever competes in a best-on-best tournament such as the Olympics, that they would certainly invite David Reinbacher to be on the team. So what was that? Demidov, Reinbacher, Slafkovsky, and there's one more. And I said potentially Kapanen for Finland. I think maybe someday Kapanen Even Heineman, I guess. I didn't even really think of Heineman. Heineman or Kapanen could potentially represent Team Finland someday. So, anyways, that was just something we talked about in the Habs Therapy Day show. By the way, Habs Therapy Day is a 1-hour show every Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Atlantic. It doesn't really center around a particular game. It's more about a weekly show that focuses on different issues and stories and topics that are relevant to the Montreal Canadiens. We do a bit of a weekly review. We do a headlines thing where we talk about current events. We do basically a rebuild 101 kind of thing called treatment, and then we do the prognosis, which is a look at the Montreal Canadiens prospects and their prospect pool or some aspect of it. So if you're interested in that, guys, again, that's going to be more of a headline-driven show as opposed to this one, which kind of focuses on a single game. So that's going to be every Wednesday at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Atlantic time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. So if that's interesting to you, you can check it out. If you want to check out the first episode, which was aired earlier tonight, you can go and have a look at the replay and watch it there. Hopefully you will enjoy it. But I think that's going to be just about it for tonight, guys. Bit of a shorter show than normal. Again, I figured I would do a show here for this game. I thought there'd be some interest. I thought there'd be some people around. It's a little slower than I was hoping for. But again, I get that it's a weekday, and it is currently 1:15 in the morning, Nova Scotia time, 12:15 in the Eastern time zone. So that's going to be it, guys. Again, if you are watching live, if you are watching in a replay, please subscribe. Help us grow our community. Help us grow the channel. Help us get to 500 subscribers. That is our goal for now. And if you do enjoy the content, hit the notification bell and the thumbs up. It does really help us, and it does help us grow our community. Do I know if the Bell Center was sold out? I don't actually know that, Intertap. I don't. I'd heard that there were tickets available as late as this afternoon, but I don't know whether they ended up selling out in the end or not. So that's it, guys. If you're watching in a replay, same thing. Please subscribe. If you do enjoy the content, hit the notification bell and the thumbs up. And if you have any questions and you're watching in a replay, feel free to post them in the comment section. I do respond to them. I do look at them, and I will respond either in the next show or I will just write you a response in the comment section. So that would be awesome. I appreciate everybody. They're saying Theodore's out for the tournament. Okay, so we're going to get to see some Travis Sanheim then, I guess. Are we, Rob? So that'll be interesting. But anyways, that's it for tonight, guys. I do appreciate everybody for coming by. I do appreciate you checking it out. Thank you, Entertap. Thank you, Pens42, Asim, Rob Somerville. I think you're also new here, Rob. So if you are interested, please hit that subscribe button, and maybe you can become a more regular contributor here. I do appreciate your comments and your questions. They were interesting, and there was good conversation. Asim as well. Entertap, of course, as usual, always a loyal listener, loyal watcher. Crazy Shady was here. Briefly, PLW was here. Larry Lavallee was here. Lavallee. Real Deal Prime, RDP was here. Aiden. Thank you. Tyson States was here early. Had a good conversation with him. Jeevan was here briefly. And I think that is it. Claude Richard, of course, made his early appearance with a Go Habs Go or a Go Canada Go in this particular case. But yeah, that's it, guys. I appreciate it. If you're watching over on TikTok, same thing, guys. Come on and join us over here. If you want to subscribe to the channel and join us in the next show, that would be awesome. I appreciate it, Rob. That is awesome, and I do appreciate your kind words as well. Asim and RDP is still sticking around. Thank you for listening, RDP. I do appreciate you being here. So thank you very much, guys. Have a great rest of your night or rest of your morning, I guess it would be now. And we will see you in the next one. Peace out.
Hoffman, out ahead, parked in front. Dr. Caulfield fires, scores!
You are about to enter Habs After Dark with Recliner Sports.